Full Moon ready to go? Shout out to Full Moon. The regular council meeting for Tuesday, December 19th, 2023 is called to order at 7:03 p.m. Let's have a moment of silent meditation followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. Madam Clerk, may I please have roll call? Please?
Roll call, Mayor Nickerson.
Here.
Vice Mayor Perella. Yes. Councilperson Erbom.
Present.
Councilperson Lightfoot Ward. Present. Councilperson Martin.
Present.
Also present for the record, Christy Alou, Village Manager, Janice Jacoby, Village Clerk, and the attorney's running a little late.
No problem. May I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Moved by Councilperson Lightfoot Ward. May I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilperson Martin. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Hearing none, moving on. Good and welfare. Anybody can come and talk about anything on this particular agenda. You will have time when we get to each agenda item to also come up and talk. And after we discuss the agenda item, I also give the residents time to talk also again at that time. But if anybody wants to say anything now, feel free to come up. Hearing, seeing none, we will hit every agenda item. The consent agenda, do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda? It's just the minutes.
So moved.
Moved by Councilperson Erbom. I was about to say Perella, but I knew that wasn't right. Moved by Councilperson Erbom. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilperson Lightfoot Ward. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Hearing none. Attorney Geller is present for the record. Moving on to the resolutions. Attorney Geller, you're about to be up because we have to swear everybody in who's going to be doing this.
Well, everyone who's going to be a witness on anything tonight, please stand and raise your right hand. Stand
Stand.
on your feet. Stand.
So even those that are going to be, if there's like a site plan, if there's like a home situation or something like that, if you're going to be speaking on it or speaking about it, stand up, raise your hand.
Okay. Please repeat after me. I, and state your name. Do hereby solemnly swear that the testimony I will give tonight will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help me God, or you may take an affirmation. Thank you.
Very good, appreciate that. So we're moving on to the resolution, Resolution G1. We've gone through this one time before. The Corradino representative, Scarlett, how you doing? Can you come to the podium for us, please, just in case?
You want me to read it first, man?
Yeah, read it for us, Attorney Geller.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes,
can we
Councilperson.
do both of them at the same time since it's the same property?
It's the same property. I didn't know if we could do both at the same time because you have to read them into the record. Can you read both at the same time?
I'll read them both.
Okay, sounds good.
You should take separate votes.
All right, separate votes anyway? Okay, all right.
Resolution G1, resolution of the Village Council of El Portal, Florida, granting site plan approval for the addition of a one-story, addition to a one-story residence at 188 Northwest 89th Street in Zone 3 suburban residence in the Village of El Portal. An application by El Portal LLC providing for findings, providing for conditions, providing for appeal, providing for violation of conditions, providing for an effective date. And resolution G2, front yard lot exceeding. Resolution of the Village Council of El Portal, Florida, authorizing the approval of the variance for exceeding overall lot coverage and exceeding front yard lot coverage at 188 Northwest 89th Street, as requested by El Portal LLC, providing for incorporation of recitals, providing for an effective date.
Thank you very much, everybody. Did anything change or was adjusted that needs to be pointed out?
No, this is what was previously presented in October to the Planning and Zoning Committee meeting. So there has been no changes.
Thank you very much. Moving on to the council, any questions or comments from the council about this property?
Mayor, I see
Yes.
El Portal LLC, that's the name of the company that's gonna be doing the work.
Yes,
Was that the person?
so it's come-
Is this the company that's gonna be doing the work?
They did it already.
They did it already, so why we got it?
Correct, it is, it's an after-the-fact, application.
What's after the fact? What's after the fact?
The fact that it has been constructed,
Already?
yes. And they're trying to become legal, correct what they didn't. They should have been before you before the construction, but in reality, that did not happen, and now they have come before you to make their situation legal.
Mr. Attorney, is there something there that we need to know before we give an approval on this?
Well, I mean, you should take the,
Okay, I'm sorry, this is not up.
you should take the staff report into account and take that in as evidence and accept that as evidence, but other than that, I don't think there's anything remarkable here, no. Not that I'm aware of.
The only reason I'm asking, Mayor, is because others may come and think, well, let's just do it and then we'll just get the variance when we get there. And that's not how we want to start doing things.
Absolutely.
We're just, and that's why I'm asking the questions.
Mr. Mayor?
Councilwoman, I do think we charge extra for doing it after the fact, don't we?
No.
We don't?
I'm not aware of
Oh.
the fees that,
Alright.
the process.
If I may, and I don't know if I could get some guidance on this, was this the situation where the homeowner relied on something that was said by a city staffer that made them believe that they could proceed in this way?
I don't believe this was that situation, was it?
It wasn't this one? Okay.
Come on.
You want to come to one of the podium?
Oh,
Yeah, we're trying to do this so it's on the record.
Yeah,
Nobody
could
thinks
you-
that it's a personal.
could you enlighten us on that?
Yes, we was given all permits. Junior Herbo, I'm representing 188 Northwest 89th Street. But we was given all permits. We knew nothing about this until we was about to close out, final permit, and it was said, oops, you guys made a mistake. What was the mistake? You were supposed to go through variance, and now we're going through variance. But we had all our cards, we passed all our inspections, Inspectors came out, we knew nothing about a variance until it was final inspection time.
Okay, thank you for that. Do you know anything about that?
Now that he's reminding me, it's been, so we started this, I think, in like August or so it's been a few months, so, yes, but it was also, another planner that was the
I
previous planner
remember.
that wasn't informed that this would have been something that should have come to you as a variance, and also the site plan as well, because they built, I think, more than 50% of they doubled the size of the house, if you will.
Yeah.
And then the lot coverage never was kind of an issue until the very end, as he said, when they were doing final inspection.
I understand, and I do want to make it abundantly clear that it wasn't the Corodino group that did this, but I do remember that being the story from our planning and zoning subcommittee meeting, and I think that is why we said, okay, we will move it to full council, because there was a level of reliance on erroneous information that was provided by the village, and we didn't want to penalize the homeowner for that. So I think because of that, this quite clearly enumerates this situation from another situation where a homeowner would just unilaterally choose to complete the construction without coming for permits prior to.
Thank you very much, Councilperson Martin.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Councilperson Lafayette.
for the record, I appreciate that. I appreciate the honesty. I appreciate you coming up and just being forthright about it. It happened, it didn't intend to be that way. I can accept that. But I wouldn't want people to think, well, let's just do it and then we'll just come and apologize. Thank you so much.
No, and if I may, and also remember, based on the report that was reviewed for the site plan, and based on the recommendation of the staff, that's what we went ahead and approved it, because it's not like it's not violating any code as far as construction goes, like the main structure, it complies with all the site setbacks and and everything else.
It's just
Correct.
process.
Correct.
It was just
It's-
process.
It's just the lot coverage issues, really, that they went over slightly.
Any more comments or questions from the council?
Yes, a couple questions. So the variance is specifically to the driveway, is that correct?
It is two things, the overall lot and the frontage. which would
Okay,
be the
so how
driveway.
far on the overall lot, what was the
Yeah,
percentage that you were over?
the increase for the overall lot, they should be at 40 and they're 49. And in the front, that's limited to 33% and they're asking for 40%.
I see, okay. And the driveway has already been redone as well, is that right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
It's restricted.
And then the setbacks of the HVAC specifically, there's two HVACs, one on either side of the building. Are the setbacks for those HVACs, do we have 5 feet to the property line?
Yes,
We do,
yes.
yes, okay.
No, everything else is,
I'm with- yeah,
everything
yeah.
else is.
Yeah.
For me, yeah, so I just wanna be clear about the driveway situation and I mean, anyway, it looks like well done job. Looks like nice plans, you know.
Thank you.
So, you guys have certificate of occupancy on this building, there's people living there now, is that correct?
No.
No, that's what
It
we're
was,
waiting on.
it was.
That's what we're waiting
it
on
was a
for all of
stop.
this,
They
for all
told
this
us to
process.
stop
God bless you,
everything
okay.
until the variance.
All right. Okay, I guess those are all of my questions.
Yeah, and and the extra overage on the driveway, because of the size of the property, you said it's only 7%, it doesn't represent, it represents a minimum
It's 7% in
It's
addition
almost
to,
nothing
yeah,
when it comes
for
to
what the,
lot coverage and the front coverage. Okay,
for the
and that's
code,
why
exactly.
we, yeah,
Mhm.
all right.
And
Thank you.
on my end, one more thing. I think when you do make a mistake, you do have to kind of own up to it. And on our end, there seems to have been a mistake, and it's just not something that I think that the homeowner should have to suffer the consequences of. And also, the Corradino Group has looked into the issue, and in the ways that it is not conforming, I think the staff report stated that they were not gross enough to suggest that this was not approved, correct? Like, this should be approved. Correct? Your staff recommendation was to approve?
To approve, yes, the recommendation is to approve,
Yeah,
yes.
so I think with that being said, like, we don't want to torture this homeowner too much, number one. And number two, our planning and zoning officials say that this is something that can be approved without there being too many negative consequences to the village. So I would note that.
And Mayor, at this time, you should.
Accept
And Mayor, at this time,
accept the
you should
staff
accept the
report.
staff report into evidence.
I didn't hear you.
Accept the staff report.
I'm sorry, Councilwoman, I said at this time, the staff report should be accepted by the council into evidence.
Thank you very much. Motion to accept the staff report.
So move.
Moved by Councilperson Lightfoot Ward, second.
Second.
Second by Councilperson Marlon. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, say nay. Hearing none.
Excuse
Any-
me, I'm sorry to interrupt. I just wanted to add
Go
one more
ahead.
thing.
Say your
on
name and
record.
address for the record. please.
Dudley Mayor, the member of the 188 LLC. We have a citation or something that's out. I just wanted on record, for you guys to work with us when we get this resolved. The reason why we wasn't able to close out the citation is because of this various issue that we have going on now. So just keep that on record when we do come back to close out the citation, that the fees that have been accumulating is because of this variance that we're doing now.
Fees accumulating?
I can work with you on that. From the administrative side, we'll work with you in code enforcement. I will get with Mr. Simmons to review, and we'll reach out to you
Okay.
to see how we can resolve it.
Thank you.
Okay?
Appreciate it.
And I'm
Thank
the
you,
chair of
Madam
the,
Manager.
I'm chair of Code Enforcement Committee, so I will also follow up with the manager on that.
Thank you.
Very good, very good.
Any other questions or comments from the council?
See, Mayor, for benefit of those that are listening, we may be small, but we are definitely just as concerned about this village. Somebody just shut me off. We're just as concerned. We're just as concerned about this little village not being taken for granted just because we're little. And we're coming forth, seeing the problem, bringing it to our attention, especially the manager's position, and it's on the agenda, it's here, so that we go on record stating, if there's an error, don't be ashamed. Come to us. You'd be surprised how understanding not only administration, but the council will be. Things happen, not like somebody tried to do something deliberately. And I just want to applaud those of you that came to tell us that it really wasn't intended, it just was an oversight.
I do.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councilperson Lightfoot Ward. Anybody else from the council, questions or comments? Hearing none. Anybody from the audience, questions or comments? Hearing, seeing none. Back to the council. Any last questions or comments before I ask for a motion? Hearing none. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
For the record, that's G1.
This is G1.
The site plan approval.
Yeah, let's
Yes.
do one at a time.
Yes.
Yeah.
I move to approve the site plan.
Thank you very much. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. Madam Clerk, may I please have a roll call?
Roll call. Councilperson Martin.
Yes.
Councilperson Lightfoot Ward.
Yes.
Councilperson Erba.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Perella.
Yes.
Mayor Nickerson.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you very much. Any last questions or comments about the front yard lot exceeding? Any questions or comments from the audience for the second? Back to the council. Final questions or comments, front yard? Do I have a motion to approve G2 front yard lot exceeding?
I'll move to approve
Move.
the variance.
Moved by Councilperson Erba. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Vice Mayor Perella. Madam Clerk, may I please have a roll call?
Roll call. Councilperson Martin.
Yes.
Councilperson Lightfoot Ward.
Oh, yes.
Councilperson Erba.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Perella.
Yes.
Mayor Nickerson.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you very much. Congratulations, you all.
Yes.
Appreciate it. If nobody is opposed to it, since we have a lot of visitors here for the short-term rental, I would like to move that up if that's okay with everybody?
Completely up to you.
Is that all right with everybody?
What do you want to do?
Can we move that up? The short-term rental discussion, can we move it up?
What do you think?
G7.
G7?
I'm open to any way that you
Can-
guys want to structure it.
Can we attack it right now? All right, you
Let's
guys.
do it. Let's
So we're gonna move on to the G7 ordinance, the short-term rental ordinance.
This is bringing back the amendment. So this is first reading. An ordinance of the Village of El Portal, Florida relating to short-term vacation rentals within Zone 3. Amending the existing ordinance, providing a definition of a vacation rental, requiring a registration to operate a vacation rental, providing standards for issuance of a vacation rental, registration, requiring insurance for a vacation rental, providing standards of operations, providing for penalties for violations of this section, providing for incorporation of recitals, providing for conflict and repealer, providing for codification, providing for severability, and providing for an effective date. First reading.
All right, here we go. So we're back to the first reading. This is how we're gonna do this. I'm going to go to Councilperson Martin. I know she was very involved in this. I'm gonna go to Vice Mayor Perella, and then I'm gonna go to Attorney Geller, and then I'm gonna open it up to the council, and then I'll go to the audience, then I'll come back to the council, and then we'll do a vote for the first reading. So, Councilperson Martin, I'm gonna
Oh,
open it
this
to you
is going to be
first.
very quick for me. We have discussed this issue extensively, and we have already, as a collective body, voted to have a short-term rental ordinance in the village. This is a refinement of that ordinance. The attorney has sought counsel with other attorneys. He has listened to residents and their complaints and brought forth what we believe is a more perfect document. So all of the statements that I've made as to why I believe there should be a short-term rental ordinance in the village, those stand and remain. I think as a collective body, we've decided to move in this direction, and this is a perfection of the document. So I think the discussion should relatively be short on this one. So that's the entirety of my statement.
Thank you very much, Councilperson Martin. Of course, we'll be coming back to the council if you have anything further to add. Vice Mayor Perella, I know you were an intricate part of this also, so if you want to go ahead and chime in.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, again, echoing what Councilwoman Darian had said, this is something that we've been working for a long time, and it's been revised to not to be so we don't get in too much trouble as the lawyer that is actually on the side of the short-term renters had discussed already. And I mean, if we had an extensive conversation about this, a new one, this new ordinance proposed, ordinance, and with the lawyer. And so basically, our ordinance is different than any other municipality because supposedly it actually stays within the parameters of what the state regulations dictates. Apparently, all other ordinances that are out there that we've been studying for the past 2 years are in challenge or, in violations. So I guess this is something that it will actually benefit everybody, and it's just bringing everybody in compliance without any troubles or anything. The only thing I have in one of the only question I have in one of the whereas is where it says all the state preemptions allowed for inspections for the state violations rental fire code, building code, and for local building code for new construction. So that means that the established short-term rentals are not gonna be regulated, or so there's no inspection required, so anybody can be running a short-term rental on an illegal addition or room in their house where they built an extra bathroom without permits, or a kitchen that is not legal to have second kitchens or wet bars in their house. That's my biggest question here.
Attorney Geller? Yes, thank you, Mayor. Vice Mayor, that's not quite my view of it.
Okay.
What it is that inspections, there are some provisions in this that allow for inspections if there's a violation of something like the Florida Building Code, that can be inspected. There are other circumstances where an inspection is appropriate. You can't have an illegal kitchen, you can't have an illegal bathroom, but what we can't do is target short-term rentals for those inspections. It's illegal to have a conversion without a permit, a bathroom, a kitchen, regardless of what you're using the property for. So it's equally illegal if you're renting it out as a short-term rental, or if you're putting your mother-in-law there, or if you're renting it on an annual basis. It's still illegal, but we don't have the right to automatically enter anybody's property to conduct an inspection unless there's some reason to conduct the inspection. And basically, it's not that they're allowed to get away with these things. We just can't say it's illegal if it's a short-term rental, but if you're renting long-term or you're using it for a family member, then it's okay. It's not okay
Either way.
either way.
Right.
It's the same principle that Councilman Urban is pursuing with the noise ordinance. We can't say you can't make excessive noise if you're a short-term rental, but if you're, a year-round resident, you can blast your stereo or whatever they call them these days all night. It's illegal, and we just, as we move to evolve our noise ordinance, it's got to apply to everybody. We can't target short-term rentals differently than we target other properties.
That was my other question in regards to possibly new regulations or, revising all or a new ordinance that might come in place because of the noise and excessive noise or, parking and even occupancy, which I don't see in here either. It's something that will apply to any existing, or let's say if this were to pass and then we had to change some of the other ordinances and,
You're 100% right.
okay.
Noise, trash, parking are the three biggest complaints, but certainly over occupancy, those are existing ordinances, but we can amend them, we can make them tougher, we can make them, we're trying now to do that. It's turned out not to be as easy as we'd hoped with noise, but the same with having too many people there. If you have too many people living in a premises, it's illegal. What we can have those ordinances, we can enforce those ordinances, we can make those ordinances more strict than they are. What we can't do is say, well, you can't do it if it's a short-term rental, but otherwise it's okay. If you violate the ordinance for noise, trash, parking, if you violate our ordinance on occupancy, whatever you're doing with the property, it's still illegal. And the principle is that we can't target short-term rentals and treat them differently. They'll get treated same as everybody else.
Perfect, thank you, Mr. Gerler.
The mayor had recognized me, so let me just speak briefly to this. This has been an excruciatingly long process. But when we adopted this original ordinance, and Vice Mayor Perrella is correct, there are a lot of cities, a lot of different municipalities in Dade County that have these regulations. Originally, people said, well, Miami Shores has it, why can't we do that? And we looked at it, and they have an ordinance. There were some things I didn't like about it, so I looked at a number of others. I relied some on Miami Springs, but we looked at Miami Beach, and we looked at other places. You brought up West Miami. In fact, I just had spoken with their city attorney recently about some of this stuff, because he's a friend. But frankly, yes, there are a lot of ordinances in this county for a lot of, I wouldn't say all of them necessarily, but certainly a lot, that do things that frankly state law on close inspection doesn't allow. And it happens that some of the people who operate short-term rentals in our little community went out and got counsel who frankly is, this is what he does. He's an expert, and he's been a reasonable individual. We must have spoken on the phone 10 or 12 different times. We've hammered out an ordinance. There's a few things in here he didn't love, but that he agreed to because we were being otherwise reasonable and acknowledging what state law is. Now, as you and I talked about, Vice Mayor, I don't like the state law. It's not the only one I don't like. There has been a campaign over the last 10 years or so to restrict the home rule powers of municipalities in the state of Florida. The Florida League of Cities has fought a long battle against these, but mostly unsuccessfully, although there have been some changes made. I was in the legislature when this current short-term rental law came up, and I voted against it. I don't like it. But it's still passed overwhelmingly, and it is the law in the state of Florida, whether we like it or not. And the counsel for our residents who are short-term rental owners was a very reasonable and knowledgeable gentleman. He said, oh, I'm not threatening to sue. That's not the case. We seek compliance. But he did just sue Coral Springs, and although not Coral Springs,
Cape Coral.
Cape Coral, thank you.
Cape Coral?
Yeah, I believe that's right. And after blustering and talking and litigating and spending money, they ended up having to completely back down and settle. And that's not the only case. We're a particularly small community, and one of the things I
pride myself on as your attorney is keeping us out of court, because we just don't want, I mean, if we have to litigate something, I sure want to be sure we're right. I don't want to take us into some litigation that we're going to lose, not only get damages, but end up paying somebody else's attorney's fees. And Cape Coral, which is not huge, but sure bigger than us, had to back down completely, and they had to pay money, and they had to pay fees. I think we've pushed this ordinance just about as far as we can without leaving ourselves liable for litigation, and I've, agreed with that counsel that I've mentioned after an awful lot of conversations and sessions that there are some things that we need to be able to do. Enforcing the Florida Building Code is one of them. Life, health, safety regulations, I have a particular issue with things called drain pool covers that cover the drains in pools, because there have been some just horrifying stories about mostly young girls with long hair having their hair sucked into that drain and drowning because they couldn't save them in time. We can enforce that. We can enforce things like fire codes. There's provisions to require there to be somebody in at least roughly the vicinity. It's not as strict as we would like, but the days when the responsible party for a short-term rental was nothing more than a post office box in New Hampshire are governed by this code. And the thing to keep in mind is there are also part of the legislature's, I'll use the word scheme, but I don't want it to sound pejoratively. That's the scheme of things that's been set up, is there are some circumstances where our very exceptional aggressive code enforcement officer is allowed to conduct inspections as to certain violations. We can't enforce those violations, but he can enter under certain circumstances. And if he observes violations, he's able to, or anyone else who observes it, can report it to the state of Florida agency that investigates. And presumably, hopefully, they will come out and they will conduct enforcement action. And since the legislature's plan is that they are then the party that can enforce these actions, we expect and hope that they will enforce, and there's nothing that stops us from calling it to their attention. But what we cannot do, as I said earlier, is we cannot target short-term rentals simply because they're short-term rentals. We can't target them for enforcement and treat them differently than other homes and residences in the village that have the same violation. They have to all be treated the same, and that's why some of the stuff that we might otherwise want to regulate and that other cities and towns think they are regulating isn't in our ordinance. We've pushed it as far as we can, and one day one of these other cities and towns, or more than one, are going to try to enforce their code, and somebody's going to stand up against it and fight it and maybe take them to court, and then they're going to have an unhappy outcome. Although, if it's like the city of Miami or the city of Miami Beach with 20 or 30 or 40 lawyers on staff, it's less of a problem for them than it is for us to try to run up legal fees. So we're trying to avoid that, and I'm of the opinion that what we have proposed will stand up in court, and that we've pushed it just about as far as we can without unduly looking to get sued. So that's the ordinance.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Mr. Gertler. Anybody else from the council wanted to add something?
I'd like to add something.
Go ahead.
We're here now, okay? We're here now. To everyone that came to see where our last night's gonna look like, I just want to give a shout out to the police for our police services. We have people that do parties on 88th Terrace. They've been very good. What I like about it is anytime there seems to be a bunch of cars, I can also depend on the force coming in, just making sure that they understand. They're not asking them to come in. They're not trying to get in on it. They come, they see the cars parked, they don't hear any noise, they see the people. So whatever they say, I don't hear noise. Do you hear noise on your side? Because we right around the corner from each other.
I mean, I do hear noise sometimes, but I don't know exactly what you're referring to.
No, just
But-
in the vicinity.
Yeah, sometimes I do, but I don't know what it's
Yeah.
from, but
Yeah.
I'll let
Okay.
you continue.
And that pleases me, because whatever we've done in the past has been heard. Whatever they're doing in the administrative offices or the village clerk, whatever's being done, the folks that want to do this on my block, in my vicinity, just not on my street, I don't have the noise. I just see the cars. And they're very careful about the cars being parked and where they're being parked, and I appreciate that. But I mostly appreciate the force. Cap, Major, boss. I appreciate the force coming out when people give a report. I don't usually have to call. No, I do not. And I see them coming through, they get out the car, they're very polite, they spend maybe 5-10 minutes, they're coming out, there's no noise. There's no noise on the front side, there's no noise on my side, there's no noise on the next street, nor the street over. Because I can hear all of them. I'm right there on the corner. So I just want to let you know that whatever we've done, however we've done it, Vice Mayor, however we've done it, it's been working on my block. Because you know I was a firebrand when it first started, and all this noise all night long was not what we were gonna do. So kudos to the police force.
To hear that. No, there's definitely more police presence around the village, so that's great. And thank you guys for that. Anybody else from the council like to add something?
I think we should open it up.
Okay, let's go ahead and open it up to the public. Anybody that want to come and say something, just please state your name and address for the record.
Good evening, Pascal DePoule, 177 Northwest 90th Street. Just point of order or question how you guys are going to run this. Are we going to do it like we did last time, where we go through a section and have comment and go through a section and have comment, or is this going to be like a one-shot, tell us everything you want to talk about right now?
Do you feel like we've been messing with it for a while. Do you feel like you read it enough to where you kind of know exactly like what you want to address right now?
Yep.
But other people out there, you guys have things you want to address also? Is it the same things? You sure it's like the same things, same sections?
No, it's not that, I'm not sure of that. But we can either go by section, or if you want, we can go through everything now. I think it makes more sense to go by section.
Well, it's not a lone ordinance. It should go all one shot and that's it.
Yeah. What do you,
We're not workshopping the entire, from what I understand, we're
Right.
not workshopping the entire ordinance. What we do have is we have a structure within which you have 3 minutes to give us your comments on the entirety of what we're talking about. So we can extend the time. I know usually the mayor's flexible on the time, but I do think it would be wise for you to just put forth all of the issues that you have and just put that on the record, and then the next person can come up and put forth all of their issues, and then we can take that into consideration, come back as a council and make the decision.
so we'll do
I
it
think that's
person by
what's gonna
person, so just go ahead and knock it out.
First of all, thank you very much for kicking out a bunch of the stuff that we guys asked you to kick out over the last year. I appreciate that. We've been working with you guys for the last, what is it now, a year and a half, 2 years on this, so I appreciate that.
And we thank you for your input. It's been helpful.
There's a few things, I'll just go in order. On page 2, on one of their whereases, you guys specifically have mentioned emotional support animals. They are not required for public accommodation, which an STR is under the DBPR, so I think that should not be on the whereas. There's never been before. It's the first time it's on there now. It's not, I think it should be gone.
Can you tell me which whereas is that
The
again?
first whereas on the second page talks about ADA registered service
Got
animals,
it.
which is fine, but the emotional support animals are regulated under Florida Housing, not Florida Public Accommodations Acts.
Okay.
In section 2, your definition as the village talks about that a vacation rental is a dwelling unit, but that's not defined anywhere. So I don't know if that's a room or if that's a house. Like, is a property, it's a folio number considered a dwelling unit? Is a house considered a dwelling unit? Or is a room considered a dwelling unit?
It's a property, the whole house.
Well-
It's a dwelling in general, and the Florida code.
But I understand
Yeah,
your need for specificity on that, and I would defer that to the village attorney.
And I will say, reading through it, I hit the same speed bump, but I know we don't wanna make any assumptions here. And so I was left with an assumption, which is not,
Because
Yeah.
we have hosts that rent a
Yeah.
room in their house, and we've talked about a difference between owner occupants and people that don't live on the property, and I still think that's something that needs to get addressed, that's not addressed in this ordinance. We have a property that has a cottage, where it's a completely separate building, and then our house, where we rent the cottage, it's a multifamily zone property, all that good stuff. So that would be, depending on how you define dwelling unit.
Can the village attorney real quickly give us some guidance on that, on how we can better define dwelling unit, or if it's already contemplated, or should we add definitions in this?
Well, we have definitions, but I'll go back and look specifically in the light of the comment about a distinction being drawn between a standalone cottage and a simple room that's being rented. I actually think the definition is adequate, but that doesn't mean that we can't improve upon it. That's why this is first reading.
Because
So-
here's the problem that you have right now. DBBR does not issue a license for somebody renting a room or rooms as long as it's not the majority of their house. So if I have 4 bedrooms in the house and I rent 2, I cannot get a DBPR license. You guys require a DBPR license for you to do the registration for an STR owner.
It's good
So-
to know.
Depending on your definition of a dwelling unit, if you're saying it's a room, then that owner cannot comply with this regulation.
Thank you so much. Your next comment?
I do want to talk about, or ask you guys to consider the owner occupancy. We've talked about that before, to have 2 different ones.
Okay.
There is a lot less trouble with somebody living on the property, obviously, than somebody that's not. On page 3, in section 5-72, number 6, you guys talk about the registration with the Florida Department of Business and Professional Regulations. We do not get registered by them, we got licensed by them. They are the body that regulates us, so that needs to get changed back to licensures like it was before in the old ordinance. I'm not sure why that's changed to registration.
Because we can't have licensure.
No, this is, you are asking me to establish proof of registration with the Florida Department of Business Professional Regulation, which means I am supposed to give you my registration with DBPR. I'm not registered with DBPR. I have a license from DBPR. That needs to change from registration to licensure. I understand that you can't create any license. This is now changed. This whole thing now has changed from a license to registration. I understand that. This specific one asks for a registration versus a license from DBPR. That's all. It's
I'll
just a
take
word.
a look.
The same applies under 11 in the 3rd paragraph, that we're registered, we need to be licensed. In the paragraph that starts as such applications shall also include. And in the 1, 2, 3, 4. It's the exact same thing, so if you go to the 2nd paragraph that starts with such applications shall, in the 5th line, it also, or in the 4th line, it talks about registered with a DBPR, and it should be licensed. Yeah, we need to be licensed, we are licensed, we are not registered. There's a question about insurance too, under section 573, that other hosts have brought up. You guys asked for general liability insurance with limits of 1 million with 300,000 per occurrence, and the question was if, like Airbnb, for instance, does an air cover, they call it, they insure hosts for that, if that would be sufficient or not. So
Say it again, please. If what would be sufficient?
Airbnb provides an insurance on our home for $1 million. They call it air cover. And we had asked before, and I'll ask again, if that would be sufficient, or if you are actually looking for a general liability insurance certificate from a separate insurance agency for a host.
We'll try to clarify that.
And then I,
This is something that is your own property. I don't, the village asking for insurance on a property that's yours, I don't see the need for it, so.
The village attorney is going to give us some guidance on it as far as whether or not air cover. But your next comment?
on standard of operations, the last three, or actually I and K, I just had the question on, you had, Mr. Geller, you had brought that up a little earlier, maybe you can clarify that, in regards to inspections of state fire code or state occupancy limits. I'm just curious on how the village can enforce a state mandate or law on that, when they can't do that on other laws.
Well, K, let's deal with K. K simply says that our existing ordinances
Right, I'm
relating to these things will be strictly enforced. We cannot, as I said, we're not targeting short-term rentals here. So I don't see the issue on K.
My question specifically on K is the state occupancy limits, since it's a state law versus a village law.
I'll take a look at that specific issue and compare our law with theirs. That's 574K, and then let's look at the other one.
I is the same thing as a state fire code. I'm just curious about village enforcing state law.
Well, the state fire code is in the nature of the same thing as the Florida Building Code. Absolutely, those are laws that we can and should enforce to be sure that this is a life, health, safety issue, as I mentioned. So that one I'm comfortable with, that there's not an issue because it is a state law and we are permitted to, that's one of those state laws we are permitted to enforce. Now, as far as the occupancy limits, to the extent that there could be a differential between the state and our local ordinance as far as state occupancy, as far as occupancy, I'll go back and look at that issue, but there's, in my opinion, no issue in regard to I, the fire code we enforce.
Yeah, and then the last thing, you guys also define the short-term renter, and we've had this discussion before again, as everything under 3 months. And State of Florida and DBPR both make that break between guest and tenant at 30 days. So I just spoke with DBPR today on the phone, and I asked them again about that, and they say if you have somebody staying in your place for over 30 days, you are no longer doing a public accommodation. Now it's a month-to-month tenancy. So that's a difference that we have. We've talked about this in the past, and I'd like to again suggest that we get in line with the state and with DBPR to do that at 30 days.
Which section are you looking at, by the way?
That's under your definition of a short-term renter or a short-term guest.
Back where? Earlier in the document.
And that is in, on page 2, under section 2, under the
Section
definition of
2.
vacation rental by guest for a period of less than 3 months of duration.
That's an issue that I discussed with your counsel.
It's not my counsel, for the record.
Okay. Sorry, I thought that was. But again, I will be happy to revisit it.
I just see a difference between state and DBPR and our village there on that.
Yes.
Thank you so much for
That's
those
all I have.
comments. I appreciate you. Can we have the next commenter step to the podium, state your name and address for the record, if there's any? Oh, I think we might not have any commenters. Oh, put it back to the mayor.
Are you sure?
All right, are we good? All right, back to the council for questions or comments, you guys?
I think we have spoken about this a lot. The comments tonight are in line with comments we've heard before, which are all really good comments that help us perfect the document. I think we've already did the arduous task of coming up with a decision as a collective body that we do need a short-term rental ordinance in the village. We've talked about why we need it, why we need to do it now. We did it in the past. We should go ahead and do it again and continue to workshop the document. Our village attorney is well-versed on the topics. He's heard the comments from the commenters, and I'm sure that the next time we see this, this is going to be an even more perfect document. So I think we should go ahead and pass the item.
And Mayor, if you would, let me say that I don't take the comments lightly. I don't consider any of the comments made frivolous. I don't necessarily agree with them, but I will research each and every one of those. We should pass it, I hope, on first reading. And if there are any adjustments that ought to be made for second reading, I'll not only make them, but I'll make it my business to point out to the council which ones are being changed. But at this point, I think I'm comfortable asking you to approve this document as it reads on first reading, with my undertaking to look at those particular points that were raised.
All right, thank you very much. So we're good. No further questions or comments from the audience? No further questions or comments?
I have one final edit. It's
Okay.
it's not significant, but as long as we're here, page 2, first paragraph, second line, there's a redundancy, sort of, it says having registration registered. First having registration registered, is that
I'm sorry, which paragraph on page
essentially
two?
the first sentence? The end of the first sentence starts in the first line, extends to the second line. Perhaps I'm not.
Tell me,
Just tell
I'm
me
looking at the
I'll just
first
read the
paragraph.
sentence. No
Yeah,
owner
read
of a dwelling unit shall rent or lease the dwelling unit, and then it continues, as a vacation rental without first having registration registered with the village. Should it just read registered with the village?
Okay, I'm sorry here. You're on page 2.
Yep.
First paragraph, did you
Very
say?
first line, very first sentence. It extends to the second line, but it's the end of the first sentence. Seems to be a redundancy. Unless that is,
Why am I
unless
not
that's
seeing
legalese
this?
that am I the only one? Maybe it's just on.
I'm sorry, I wish I was seeing the
No?
language.
So maybe it's just my copy that I received in my email then? Okay.
But I think we can notate it. We
Well,
can
I just-
notate it, and then you could probably do like a control
Only-
F.
Only if I see it, though. So tell me how the paragraph starts.
Is
You
this,
just go and show it to 'em.
What's the first word besides
sorry,
whereas?
sorry, well, I'm sorry, forgive me. It's not page 2, because, I'm sorry, it's page 3.
Page 3.
Yes, there we go. Sorry, forgive me. It's page 3.
Oh, without first having registration registered with the village?
Yes, yes.
Oh, that's simple,
Right,
Councilman.
yes.
That is from the Department of Redundancy Department. One of my favorite departments.
Everyone's favorite, absolute favorite department.
Yes, and I can tell you definitively that your eye is good on that. And one of those words needs to go back to the Department of Redundancy Department.
All right.
And I will send it there. And in fact, I would ask you simply, as we go through first reading, to delete the word registration by amendment. So it would read without first having registered with the village. And if you would, I'm not sure who's presiding, if it's the committee chair or the mayor, but if whoever it is would call on you to make that amendment, that we can clean up immediately, because I don't need to research that. That's wrong, and good eye. Will someone recognize the councilman to make that amendment?
So moved. Second.
It was
the
moved by,
mayor.
was it, do I have a motion to delete, for the recommendation to delete that from the ordinance?
So moved.
All right, thank you. Do I, and a second?
Second.
All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any last questions or comments from the council?
No.
Hearing none. Any last questions or comments from the audience? All right, do I have a motion to approve ordinance for the first reading, short-term rental, short-term vacation rental?
So moved.
Moved by Councilperson Martin. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilperson Lightfoot Ward. Madam Clerk, may I please have a roll call, please?
Roll call. Councilperson Martin.
Yes.
Councilperson Lightfoot Ward.
Yes.
Councilperson Erba.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Perella.
Yes.
Mayor Nickerson.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you very much.
Mayor, item G3.
Yes, item G3.
Resolution of the Village Council of the Village of El Portal, Miami-Dade County, Florida, accepting the proposal from Altumint, Inc. in connection with installation of speed detection systems in the Village of El Portal, Miami-Dade County, providing for incorporation of recitals, providing for an effective date, and Mayor, these are relating to those devices in the school zone.
Thank you very much. We do have the Senior Vice President here. How you doing? How you doing, Mr. Vice President? If you want to come up to the podium
Yeah,
for us.
come on up
We want to meet you and say hello and give you a
Yes.
friendly welcome. Go into this one better. Madam Manager, I don't know if you want to speak on this very quickly.
Yes, just very quickly, I can tell you that, it's not on?
Yes, it is.
Oh, it is? Okay. All right, here we go. So, thank you for coming, Mr. Norton. Chief Mendez and I, a couple of months ago, met with some people from Tallahassee who explained that the state legislature had passed the school zone legislation that provides for increased speeding and just police services in school zones. We have one school zone here in El Portal. It is at the Middle School. And Chief Mendez and I met with this independent contractor who provides the service. But then we started getting, I guess, emails and solicitations from others. So Chief Mendez went out and found some others, entertained those, their services, and selected, I think it's Altumint. It's hard to pronounce, Altumint. Services. And so Chief Mendez met extensively with them, and I know they also met with Councilperson Darian Martin to kind of talk about their services. It is a service that allows the village to not pay any fees for the service. We will split any fees that are collected with Altumint. And I'll let Mr. Norton talk more about the service.
Say your name and address for the record. I know you flew in from St. Louis.
I did. Jason Norton, Webster Groves, 414 Selma Avenue. Our program manager, actually, who would handle your program, lives in Doral, but her mother just recently had a stroke, and we didn't want to put that on her tonight. But, I think our approach to this reflects the councilperson's comments earlier that we know the size of the village, but we don't take it for granted, and that's why I jumped on a plane and got here to, just show our respect and reflect that. So, we're here to answer any questions. Some of the highlights of the program that's a little different from us is, one, you have no fee termination for convenience. Many of you have lived through the red light cameras and may have liked them, may have not liked them, but many villages, towns, cities have left that program. If this turns out the same and you don't like it, you can walk away, and there's no fee to the village for doing so. Others start at $37,000 per camera. We have zero. It's only operational, so this is a little bit different from the red light cameras. It's only operational when the lights of the school start through the day and when the lights at the end of the day. So no nights, no weekends, no holidays. If the kids aren't there, you're not enforcing. You only enforce at 11 and over. So if your school zone is 15 in the morning, you're only targeting when they hit 26, which is almost double the speed limit. So it's not a 1 over, it's not a 5 over, it's not a gotcha program. You'll have signage. We'll start the program with a 30-day warning period. So if you go through and it's mom and pop going through every day and they learn their lesson very quickly on a warning, hopefully that will reduce. So you will improve your safety before this program sends out one citation. Just talking about it tonight, we have a PR firm based here in Miami that will help with any content for your web page or anything that you know, social media that you want to give out to the community. We'll help you with that. People will be, you know, well informed on the program. So, you know, hopefully it will reduce greatly the speed through your school zones. There's no chase by the police officers. So, you know, if somebody's speeding through, you don't want a police officer then chasing them through the school zone as well. So there's no chase, there's no interaction. You get a ticket, it's $100. There's no points on a person's ticket, you know, on their license. So, you know, versus a police officer pulled over, which would be probably several $100s and points. There's no points on this. So it's a pretty straightforward program, and it will work quickly.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Mr. Senior VP.
Really?
Mr. Senior VP. Are there any questions or comments from the council before I open it up to the audience?
I do have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
In the resolution in section 2, there's a mention of a fee, and I do know from talking to the representative that there is no fee. So is that a Scrivener's error, and can we remove that? Or at least on my copy of the reso, it says that the city will set aside, I believe, $41,000.
Yeah, you know, just clarify on the fee and what, you know, per the introduction, there is, you know, this is violator funded. This is not taxpayer funded program. So, you know, one, you won't pay, you know, there won't be any invoice until fines come in. You're not going to pay for the warning period. If these violations work and we go down to 0, you're still not going to have to write a check. So there'll never be a taxpayer funded program to pay us a dime. So I think the councilperson and I spoke about that earlier today to clarify
for
that,
sure.
that there's no fee if there's
And I
0.
appreciate that. I just want to know from our village attorney, is that a Scrivener's error, and can we
I believe it
delete
is a
that?
Scrivener's error. My understanding was from the documents that were provided to us that there was a fee associated with it, that it was not clear that, to us at least, that it was entirely violator funded, but
It
yes,
is.
we can delete that reference because there is not money that has to be set aside, so.
Perfect. And I do want that put on the record so that all the villagers know that these are devices that if the independent study is done and we do qualify for those speed detection systems to go up, there is no cost to the village itself. And I do want to make that clear because right now that resolution makes it read otherwise. The other thing that we discussed was indemnification. So we do know that things change, climates change. If there is some sort of future litigation that results in these speed detection systems being, found to be, legal or what, like Altumint has said that they will indemnify the village, correct? Is that
Up for the fees, yes.
up to the fees?
Yep.
Okay. Those are all good things. We do know that we have a speeding issue in the village. And I think just last council meeting, we had residents, I think from 87th Street, they were all here, especially those with little kids that were talking about how petrified they are to have their little ones walk on the streets in our village. I have a 5 and a 3-year-old, and I feel that deeply. So I applaud everyone on the council and everyone in the administrative staff for working so quickly to now have the senior VP right in front of us.
I negotiated my title better than anything else, but I appreciate y'all calling that out every chance you get.
You know, you got to call it how it is. So we do appreciate, and I've spoken to you, and you've always been very accessible, and I want to give a kudos to the chief, who has done a lot of extensive research in a field that is a bit murky. You provided clarity and guided us in a very, I think, reasonable, sound manner. So I appreciate that, and you worked tirelessly and quickly to turn this around, and we hopefully will have a portion of the resolution to our speeding problem in the village very soon. So I'm super excited about this, and thank you so much for giving us the rundown.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much.
May I, Mayor Nickerson?
Yes.
I know that, Chief Mendez did work very much on this matter, but he may want to just speak to just what that will mean for the village when we bring in this Altumint. If he can just speak
Absolutely. Go
briefly
ahead,
to what that means for the area and what his staff is doing to quail speeding.
It's an incredible force multiplier for us. It's something independent. It's going to be there while our officers are still patrolling. It's something that we have a very good grasp on, as has been explained. where we went through the scare of the red light cameras and the overreach that many agencies took with that. This is something that with the independent study, we're gonna know if we qualify for it, and we'll be able to apply it, and it'll be fair to the residents, and it'll be an incredible tool to keep our children safe.
Thank you, Chief. Appreciate that. Yeah, so safety is the number one issue, and I just want to say, you know, your use might come even more, hopefully, in the near future. I've been working on with the school zone situation also, and I've also been trying to see, actually myself and the manager, we've been working on and trying to see if we can implement another school zone in front of Miss Claudia's, for Miss Claudia's, because since the Village Plaza is going to be, you know, coming with the restaurant and things like that, you're talking about increased traffic. Therefore, with all the youngsters that do go to Miss Claudia's school, we're looking to see, and she, you know, that school's been there for well over a decade, and so there's certain ramifications that you need, but looking to add, like particularly another school zone in El Portal, I'm also been working on also. But Councilperson Lightfoot Ward.
I appreciate this. I really do. My whole concern is, it may be a pilot right now. The speeding is still there. And it's usually the people that live on that 3rd Avenue, and they turning in. But when they go around that curve, I can't hear anything. I just hear them from the point of that stop sign, far from, excuse me, I can't lift this like I want to. That stop sign that's to the north of me.
Correct.
They start from right there. Right there. I don't know what they do in the county. They start from right there, and they shoot all the way down to, what's on the corner? He's a painter. What's his name?
Well, Jasper.
Jasper, right there. And that's where it really gets really dangerous. You can hear the tires, you can hear, your officer's been out there, okay? So I appreciate that this is not something that we gotta put funding in to make it happen, but it is very dangerous in the morning time. I'm telling you, all the way up until that flashing stops, it's awful. And then when it does stop, it starts up again. So even though the school zone is important when the children are out and about, but what about all day long?
All day long is when we pick up the difference, and that's why it's a force multiplier. While the system is up, we can focus on the kids crossing over, especially when they come over the bridge and the stop sign is there.
That's right.
And then when the system is off, then that's when our officers take over, and they do the watch orders that have been implemented now, specifically for speeding and the people that come through the village.
Okay. Are we still talking about, or is that off the table, putting speed bumps? The length of it does match a speed bump being there, if not 2 places on 3rd Avenue.
I'm reaching out to Chief Gold. I don't know how they get it in Miami Shores. I know the county tells us we can't have it, but I'm following up on that. I just wanted to follow up the right way.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you very much, Councilor Lightfoot Ward. Yeah, I just want to say we're looking into all aspects, you guys, because myself, Manager Lou, Chief Mendez, we had a meeting about speeding the other day. We have things that's coming up in the new year, things we're implementing into the new year, and then myself and the chief also had a meeting with a resident who's kind of leading like the charge on that also. Manager Lou was involved with that. So shout out to the No Horns, you know, another El Portal genius move, but I just want to say that we're definitely working on that. Attorney Geller.
Yeah, just very briefly, Mayor. This is a wonderful program. It will keep children safe. It will assist the police department. It's not costing them money. It's a great thing, and it's wonderful that we're getting it. I just have to go on record to say this is the next step before somehow, some way, somewhen, that we're going to end up where these cameras are going to be there, and if you're spitting on the sidewalk, they're going to know it, and they're going to come and find you, because eventually we turn into Singapore. This is a good piece, and this is a good one, but it's out there, and sooner or later, it's going to happen.
Yeah, appreciate that, you guys. Any questions from the audience? Say your name and address for the record.
Pascal DePoule, 177 Northwest 90th Street. Mr. Vice President, you said that the duration of the system is governed by when the lights start flashing?
Starts, correct.
Right, and then ends when they turn off?
Yeah, and it
Okay.
does work during the day, but at the
Right.
normal speed
Yeah.
limit, and you're
Um,
still 11 over.
I'm not sure who's in charge of figuring out when those lights go on and off, but I've seen them be on when there's no school.
It'll be the specific days that we inform them of. That includes a schedule. So anything in between that falls between the cracks, that understandably, that's on our end.
Okay.
We should have that clear. And sometimes the resetting of the lights, that's just a technical issue with regard to
I've seen them on like during Christmas break or something like that, and it just was, yeah.
Is it the county that
That's correct. That's correct.
Okay, but if we see them on and they're wrong, just come to you?
Well, not only that, but it shouldn't affect you negatively because the correct schedule would have been from us to them.
Right, but,
That way, the violations won't go off, and yes, just like if you see it right now, on a regular day and they're going off, you can let us know, we'll contact my.
Thank you, guys. Any other questions or comments from the audience? Hearing, seeing none. Any final questions or comments from the council? Hearing none. Do I have a motion to approve Resolution G3, speed detection system?
So moved.
So moved by Councilperson Martin. Do I have a second? Second by Vice Mayor Perrella. Madam Clerk, may I please have a roll call, please?
Roll call, Councilperson Martin.
Yes.
Councilperson Lightfoot Ward.
Yes.
Councilperson Earlbaum.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Perrella.
Yes.
Mayor Nickerson.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you very much. Next is Councilperson Martin. We have to read this resolution into the record. The Early Childhood Education Program, Councilperson Martin. Attorney Geller, we need something read into the record.
Yes, sir, I'll read the early childhood right this moment.
All right, thank you very much. And then Councilperson Martin, the floor is yours.
This is item G4. Resolution of the Village Council of the Village of El Portal, Miami-Dade County, Florida, urging the Florida Legislature to amend Florida Schools Readiness Program eligibility criteria to increase access for children in need of early childhood education and alleviate the existing burden on supplemental resources used to assist low-income families created by the current program's eligibility criteria. And 2, increase child care provider reimbursement rates statewide to offset higher operational costs incurred by the providers while ensuring that counties receive at least as much funding as received in the previous fiscal year. And that's sponsored by Councilperson Martin.
It's always good when we urge the Florida legislature to do the right thing. Councilperson Martin, the floor is yours.
Awesome. So this is hopefully straightforward, but the Early Learning Coalition administers Florida's School Readiness Program. And what that is just making sure that all of those little kiddies entering kindergarten at 5, they're ready to learn and are at level. What we're doing here is joining Early Learning Coalition in urging the Florida legislature to reconsider the eligibility criteria and the amount at which their service providers are reimbursed. Currently, to qualify for the program, a child's family cannot make more than 150% of the poverty level. And with rising minimum wage, right now we're at $12 an hour in Miami, and I think we're going up to 15 eventually. It's really easy for a 2-parent household to exceed that 150% threshold. The problem is, although wages are increasing, I'm sure we all experience that the prices of rent and food are also increasing. So these families are still families in need, but now they have lost the voucher and their ability to send their children to a high quality early childhood education program. So what that leaves some families having to figure out is whether or not one parent decides to opt out of working so that they can qualify for that voucher, or they have to put their children into a less enriching early childhood education programs. What the Early Learning Coalition is doing is asking the Florida legislature to, instead of determine eligibility based on that 150% level of the poverty level, is to determine eligibility based on a percentage of median income. And that's what we're doing tonight, is joining them in saying that we believe that all kids in Florida and Miami deserve to have enriching quality early childhood education. And we believe that we should also not put impediments in the way of parents who are desperately trying to work their way out of poverty. So I hope that it is something that everybody else on the council deems worthy, because I think that it is one of the worthiest things that we can do tonight, is to support them in their efforts.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. What is the last, so for the state legislature, so we want them to amend it. So last session, they voted it in?
I don't know if they did it last session. They had a discussion about it. I had a meeting with the president this morning for Early Learning Coalition. I think it is something that's an ongoing effort, and it's just something that they are unfortunately forced to present every single year as something to put on their radar, as something worthwhile for them to consider. But unfortunately, this doesn't rank too high on the list of issues that people are championing now, but it also is very important, because even if your child does not need those services, understand that none of our children are raised or go to school in silos, right? Taking care and making sure that others can take care of their children benefits our children in very direct and meaningful ways. So this is all of our fight, I think.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think it's important, and I think that I don't know who the Early Learning Coalition, the president,
Avelio Torres.
When you speak to him, like what I was going to say was, I don't know who's there, like who's the representative or who's the state senator that they go to like help out with that, to push that thing forward. But whoever that is, if you can get that person's name, who's the one that kind of sponsors that or like push that forward in the state legislature, just let me know, because I might, know who that person is also.
I definitely will, and I'm sure that he would love to speak to you and all of us up here, because the more that we talk about it and how important it is and how dangerous it is for a lot of families, there is money currently left on the table because there are droves of people falling out of eligibility really quickly.
And
I'm sure he would want to talk to all of us.
And I think that, in the way you put it and explained it, I think it's perfectly. I think you would be great to go speak for that up there at the state legislature. Also, in my travel funds, Councilperson Martin, I have money in my travel funds, so if you need it, just let me know you got it. So
you know I have a 5 and a 3-year-old.
I got you.
That keep
I'm
me
just saying,
under the weather.
I'm just saying, it's a 45-minute flight to Tallahassee and back. I'm just saying, 45 minutes up, 45 minutes back. Any questions or comments from the council?
Yes. So I've had this discussion with many people in many different environments for many years. So I was born and raised in the Midwest, and I've had many conversations with my family, for example, over the years. And I put it like this, there's this concept of pulling yourself up by your own bootstraps. And the funny thing about that phrase is most people, the vast majority of people, highly literate and highly educated people, have no concept that that phrase came from an essay that explained that it is impossible to ask somebody to pull themselves up by their bootstraps and lift themselves up over a barrier. The essay where that phrase comes from dictates that pulling yourself up by your own bootstraps is literally impossible. That's what that phrase means. So, in the discussion of education, I put it like this. This is how I see it in my world experience. Elon Musk is great. Seems pretty smart. We're all sitting around twiddling our thumbs, waiting for him, an individual, to figure out how to get us to Mars. I propose, if we really, truly wanted to go to Mars, we would feed 8 billion people. We would clothe 8 billion people. We would shelter 8 billion people, and we would educate through secondary education, through university, or a trade, 8 billion people. Then we can find out who the smartest people are. Then we can find out who the cream of the crop is. Until then, we're all just sitting around waiting for such unbelievably privileged people to figure all these things out, and they have no interest in doing so. We're not going to solve hunger. We're not going to solve war. We're not going to solve any of these issues until we educate 8 billion freaking people. So if I don't want my car to get broken into at 3 in the morning, I'm going to make good and sure that everyone in my community is educated. That goes a very long way towards the broken windows issue in law enforcement. It goes a very long way towards getting an entire population to take kind of ownership of their own society, right? There's only a very few people who own things right now in our society, and so the vast majority of people have no sense of ownership in our society. That, to me, is the issue. It's not, look, the eugenicists are idiots, okay? Here's the problem with eugenics. When you dump 1,000 different types of pollutants into your water, doesn't matter what your genes are, your kids are gonna have pediatric blood cancers. Doesn't matter what your genes are, you're gonna die of one cancer or another. Doesn't matter what your genes are, you're gonna end up with a chronic illness or a debilitating disease. So I think it's obvious I support this, and I would absolutely relish the chance to go and speak about this because it's absurd the way we consider that it should be pay to play when it comes to education, and we're staring down the face of any number of realities that we have ignored for several hundred years, and we are relying on a new generation of people to tackle that, address it, and adapt to it. So I support this.
Thank you very much, Councilperson Orgeron. Appreciate that. Anybody else from the council, questions or comments?
I have a comment.
Go ahead, Councilperson Lightfoot Ward.
I am a product of what we did in the 60s and 70s. Mother didn't have that. She didn't have the money. We had peanut butter and jelly sandwiches every day. I see people nodding. We didn't have, if someone had not come along and made what happened, basically it's the updated version now, I doubt if I would have finished high school. So something like this is nothing to play with. If we got to get on a plane, those of us who went through it, and let folks know we lived through until free lunches became a law. We lived through trying to get to school without a bus coming down our avenue. And then everything changed. The buses started coming. We weren't hungry. You get to school and you got fed. First thing, you got fed. I know I'm one of those people. I got fed real stuff. Lunchtime, didn't have to pay for it. And we got a snack before we went home. So we are right where this generation that are now in their elder years, telling the story why this is very important. And I'm happy to get on a plane, talk to the legislature. How dare they not cause this to be a reality? I read it too, councilperson. I read it too. But you did what I couldn't think about, because I'm remembering what I went through. This is something that has to be passed. People should not, parents should not, guardians should not have to deal with how I'm going to take proper care so that learning becomes a thing of the present also. And you're not in the classroom hungry, sleepy, and all the rest. Clothing. All these things happen, and I'm a product of that, PhD and all. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you very much, Councilperson Lightfoot Ward. Any other questions or comments from the council? Hearing none. Any questions or comments from the audience? Seeing none. Final questions or comments from the council? I was gonna say final questions or thoughts, but I said comments. Thoughts. Questions or thoughts, comments from the council? Seeing none. Madam, do I have a motion to approve Resolution Early Childhood Education Program, G4?
So
Motion
moved.
to,
Okay, so
Can I move my?
yeah,
Okay,
so motion by, Councilperson Martin, second by Vice Mayor Perrella. Madam Clerk, may I please have roll call, please?
Roll call, Councilperson Martin.
Yes.
Councilperson Lightfoot Ward.
Absolutely.
Councilperson Earlbaum.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Perrella.
Yes.
Mayor Nickerson.
Yes,
Motion passes 5-0.
very good. Next is the resolution G5, Attorney Keller.
Resolution of the Village Council of the Village of El Portal of Miami-Dade County, Florida, providing for the replacement of equipment for the Explorer Police Unit of the Police Department of the Village of El Portal, Miami-Dade County, providing for incorporation of recitals, providing for an effective date.
Thank you very much. I don't know if, Madam Manager, you want to come in, but this is basically, you guys, one of the cars that we had was in an accident. Everything was fixed by insurance. The car was replaced, but the insurance money didn't cover the outfitting of the car with the lights and all that type of stuff that goes in a police car. So that's what this is about. Questions or comments from the council?
Yeah, I did call the manager about this, because it actually mentions, the Exhibit 8 as a supporting document, but it wasn't in the packet. So, I wasn't aware of what, the price, how much was, being spent or approved, and what was it for exactly.
Attorney Geller, when you sent the resolution back, did you send the attachment also to the clerk?
I don't think it was separately sent to the clerk, no, sir. We had the documents from the PD and from the manager, and I reviewed those. So it is appropriate, but yes, they should have been attached, and apparently they were not.
I have a question.
Councilperson Earlbaum?
Okay, so in that case then, is any of the equipment on the former vehicle ours that we own is recoverable or otherwise usable? And if not, is the insurance company benefiting from, this equipment basically attached to their property? So I'm just curious to know, from an accounting side, more or less, did any of that equipment that had to be replaced, was any of that brought to bear in any way, shape, or form in any of it?
It was a pretty decent accident,
Yeah.
and the equipment that they wanted to take out of there that we thought we could reuse, you can't warranty it any further, and it's not worth the liability to the village.
Okay, so there was an effort.
To expose ourselves, that's
Yeah.
definitely
Okay.
an effort.
And
It's
then
not-
may I please
Yeah.
add to, the vehicle was totaled.
Yeah, I was getting ready to say.
So
it's-
we couldn't salvage those items.
Yeah, it's a full replacement, you guys. The car is a full replacement,
That's fine, I just wanted to be clear about that,
No.
because, yeah.
for sure. Any other questions or comments from the council?
I have a question.
Yes.
I also didn't have the attachment. I suppose none of us did. How much is this gonna cost?
It's around 17,700. That's an
Okay.
average on each of the vehicles.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Hold on a minute now. We're talking about doing what with this?
That's what the outfitting would be, the police lights, the cage.
To make
the
a regular
partitions.
car or a police car?
Correct.
Like to put everything a police car needs on it?
Wait a minute. A vehicle was destroyed. We're trying to get a new one, or we're trying to fix the old one?
We have the new one that was replaced with the insurance
Insurance.
check.
Okay.
Now, the only thing that we're minus is the upfitting charge. That's what we're requesting. That's for the specialized equipment that goes in the car to make it a police car.
Yeah.
I thought they had grants for that kind of stuff.
We've been trying to find those, and those don't come.
So this is not a new vehicle.
This is a brand new vehicle replaced at the cost of the insurance company after the other vehicle was totaled.
Okay.
Yeah, let me jump in real quick, you guys. So basically, police officers, his car got into an accident. He currently, the car that we're trying to fit is sitting right out there right now. It's been
Yes,
sitting
it
out
is.
there for months. It's right here.
Yes, it is.
So now he's without a car. We can't have this police officer driving around in a regular car. So we need to outfit the car so he now has his car. For the accident, the insurance that came in covered the car. It just didn't cover to make the car a police car, with all the lights and all the reflectors and everything a police car needs. And that's what this is about, okay? Any other questions or comments from the
So,
council?
Mr. Mayor, every time there's something wrong or a car gets destroyed or whatever, we have to come back and refit it. Either one of y'all can say it, because I'm thinking from my experience. It's a police car. We got the car. I'm gonna let you speak in a minute. We have the car. Now we're trying to outfit the car.
Correct.
So the insurance company failed to give us the full of the car.
No, they gave us what the car was valued, but it did not include the upfitting is always additional. When we purchase cars, upfitting is always additional to the cost of the car,
And is it insured on the car?
just on the car, correct, not up on the upfitting.
Something's wrong with this equation, and I'm going back to my own life, doing, as a deputy. Something's wrong with this, to me. Everything changes, nothing stays the same. If my cars got in situations like that, that insurance company made sure the whole thing, this is a police car, this is not just a regular car, it's a police car.
I understand your point. It covered the car, the model car itself. Once we purchase those cars, we always have to upfit them. That's an additional cost that comes after the fact. So that's an additional, if we paid, for example, $40,000 for the car, the additional cost is what's not covered with the insurance.
Accessories on a police car are no longer part of the insurance of the car. Is that what you're trying to tell me now?
We insure the car on purchase, at the purchase time, and it's not upfitted. Once it's upfitted, you gotta account for a depreciation on top of that. And the vehicle that we purchase is a different model vehicle, so the equipment is different for that vehicle as well.
Didn't answer my question. So accessories are not part of the insurance program on vehicles that are in the police service?
If they are, it doesn't cover, it did not cover it as, after the accident and with the depreciation of the vehicle.
All right, then let's do this. From this point forward, make sure our cars are totally insured. They're police cars. I know what they were back in the day, and the village attorney remembers when I was in this spot, but not this city, bigger cities. Just make sure, because I can see it now. Well, the thing broke, and you're gonna come back to us and say, we gotta put a new one, so we gotta give you some more money. I thought the car was totally insured, accessories and all. Okay.
If the insurance didn't cover it, it would be due to the depreciation of the vehicle and the different model, the difference of the vehicle that we purchased.
But you know where I'm going.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you, Mayor.
All right, thank you very much, Council President Ward. Any other questions or comments from the council? All right, hearing none, any questions or comments from the audience? All right, hearing none. Last questions or comments from the council? All right, do I have a motion to approve Resolution G5?
So moved.
Thank you very much, Councilperson Martin. Do I have a second?
A second.
Second, Councilperson Erbaum. Madam Clerk, may I please have roll call, please?
Roll call, Councilperson Martin.
Yes.
Councilperson Lightfoot Ward.
Yes.
Vice Mayor, Councilperson Erbaum.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Perrella.
Yes.
Mayor Nickerson.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Appreciate that. Can you read G6? This is our last resolution, the ordinance of the night. Chief, don't go anywhere yet. Can you read G6? Attorney Geller.
A resolution of the Village Council of the Village of El Portal, Miami-Dade County, Florida, authorizing illegal advertisement by the Police Department of the Village of El Portal, providing for incorporation of recitals, providing for an effective date, and this is to do with destruction of property, surplus property in the property.
Absolutely. So this is something that we been having to do for a long time, and we have to do this now. We've caught up with the property room, just like we were catching up on everything, just administratively and things like that, to stay compliant with FDLE and that type of stuff. Since the chief is walking away, I can explain it. In the property room, all these years when we make busts and all those type of things, we have to, some of that properties, after a while, we have to destroy it and get rid of it and things like that. And there's a process. And we have to do the process the right way so that we can be compliant with FDLE and stuff like that. And this is this is part of that process of destroying the properties that need to be destroyed, destroying them the right way, disposing of it the right way, accepting the new properties in from when we have new arrests and things like that. That's basically what it is. Madam Manager, you want to jump in?
I'd like to add to it. Many years ago, we did this internal or assessment. The McGrath
Report.
group did a report, and one of the deficiencies was the evidence room. We had a lot of weapons and drugs in there that really, I mean, we were all able to smell what was happening in the evidence room. And it was pretty pungent back there. Chief Mendez, under his leadership, and actually under Chief Magnuson before Chief Mendez came to be, worked to try to make some changes with what little resources we had. We didn't have many officers. We only had one officer working on the evidence room the entire 6 years that I've been here, and he finally finished this project in March of this year. He sent us the inventory, and making the requests, even the the templates in ways to destroy the evidence properly with another police department. And I'll let Chief speak more about what this means for the department finally, and to Officer Owen, who is retiring from our ranks now,
Yeah,
that he
Officer-
has finally finished this task.
Yeah, Officer Owens is wonderful. Usually on like Friday afternoons and Friday evenings and Friday nights when I'm here working, Officer Owens is like the only other one like back there. All the other police officers are coming and going, but Officer Owens, he comes right in and gets right to that evidence room. And Chief, how does it feel, furthering our FDLE compliance and being compliant? How's it feel, Chief? Chief, if there's anything else you want to add, go right ahead.
It's been a long time in coming. It's important that we're in guidance with FDLE. They've been very patient with us and have helped us along the way. And thank you to Officer Sandy Owen, who's done that as well. And we'll be in compliance, and we'll be in compliance from here forward.
Appreciate it, Chief. As I always tell you guys, like we're, this administration, we're getting everything compliant. And so whoever is the next mayor, you guys are going to be able to hit the ground running. I promise you, I'm going to leave you guys shining bright and flying high. So we're fixing everything that we can possibly fix, everything that's been outdated, everything that's been non-compliant. That's what, I'm going to try to do before I get out of here, you guys, is just make everything compliant and bring everything up to the present. So this is just another thing we check off that list. Appreciate it, Chief. Do I have any last questions or comments from the council? Hearing none. Do I have questions or comments from the audience? Seeing none. Any last questions or comments from the council? Boom. Do I have a motion to approve Resolution G6, Police Department Legal Act? Motion by Vice Mayor Perella. Do I have a second? Second by Councilperson Lightfoot Ward. Madam Clerk, may I please have a roll call, please?
Roll call, Councilperson Morton.
Yes.
Councilperson Lightfoot Ward.
Yes.
Councilperson Earlbaum.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Perella.
Yes.
Mayor Nickerson.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you very much. Madam Manager, it's time for your report, Madam Manager.
Thank you, sir. I'm going to make it brief, since we still have another week left in the month and we're still working. Just updates very quickly. The development project called The Launch at Little River held a public meeting here in the Village Hall last week. It was a meeting that was hosted by the project itself. It wasn't a Village of El Portal town hall, but this was a designation of property as green reuse area pursuant to the state of Florida's Brownfield Redevelopment Act. And so that was held here December 14th at 5:30. Basically went over the project itself and talked about the contaminations and the process by which they will be making the ground or utilizing the space as green reuse area. So that was a successful opportunity for the Village of El Portal to have that area cleaned up. And I guess our next steps will be ensuring that the 14 acre that belongs to El Portal, part of the trailer park, will be developed in some way, hopefully soon. We're still awaiting information on that purchase. And from what I understand, there's been some delays with the interested party in terms of financing. But they too are considering it. The same law firm that conducted the green reuse town hall is also involved with the trailer park. So more to come as we find out. I'll provide that to you all. Chief Mendez and his team had a wonderful Santa train in El Portal on December 2nd. It was a Saturday morning, very brisk Saturday morning. We almost flew out of off the train tracks. But Councilperson Lightfoot Ward was there. Of course, Mayor Nickerson and I were there with a ton of residents. It was it was so crowded, and it was so nice to see all of those kids out there enjoying the sunshine and Santa and the train. It was a beautiful opportunity for El Portal. So thank you, Chief Mendez and your team. I know Officer Berthet also helped out with that event and making sure that it came back to El Portal because it had been discontinued due to low turnout for the last couple of years, but we are happy to say that it was pretty packed, and it was a nice event, so thank you. The police department, speaking of the department, they've been conducting their 40-hour training at FDLE headquarters for crisis intervention training, as well as through a Miami-Dade State Attorney's Office Human Trafficking Task Force. They've assigned a part-time detachment from our ranks to that. I think it's Corporal Torrens who is the appointee to that task force, and we're excited to have Corporal Torrens represent us there and just bring that knowledge back to El Portal as we are having more people come to this area and even visitors through our short-term vacation rental. You know, those are important things to be mindful of. Just human trafficking is everywhere in Miami. So it's important that we have some representatives there as well. So kudos to Corporal Torrens for that. And this coming Friday, El Portal's police department, as well as the El Portal Women's Club, will be having a carol van parade and a Santa gift delivery, thanks to the suggestion and research of Councilperson Darian Martin. We will have our El Portal Santa visiting local residents and providing gifts to those families that have participated in our program. So I encourage those who have not or may be interested to please visit our website so that you can get more information on how to get a gift to El Portal Police Department so that Santa may bring it, hand deliver it to your child on December 22nd. And the cutoff date for that is tomorrow at 4 p.m. So we'll need all gifts wrapped and addresses and names submitted so that Santa can make that delivery. In terms of other departments, we are working hard. We are still awaiting the ADA compliant restroom due to contractor delays. We're getting closer. They didn't pass some inspections, so they had to kind of go back to work a bit, but we hope to have it soon. I will keep everyone posted as that becomes more viable, but we have purchased some of the equipment that goes inside of the restroom, and so when that comes, I'm taking that to mean we're closer to completion. So again, just be mindful, we'll get it there. We hope to have it by the end of the year, beginning of the year, probably, since we're already at the end of the year. And we are moving forward with all of our other projects, which is, the tree planting that will be coming to El Portal that has been promised. Again, contractor delays and illnesses have caused a lot of delays, but we are staying on top of matters in every department. And I encourage everyone to please read the Village website manager's report for this month for more details. I will have that posted by Friday. And that concludes my report for this evening.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that, Madam Manager. I was telling Councilperson Martin before we started the meeting that this is going off so well that there were some residents that came down here to drop off presents on Sunday. And since nobody's here because the Village Hall is closed on Sunday, they called me. They were like, Mayor, because my cards and everything. Every time I put it, so everybody has the number. Like, Mayor, we're here outside of Village Hall and my kids are asleep, so this is the only time I was able to sneak the presents out. So I was like, bring them over to my house, man. Just bring them over. So they're all bringing them over. So I have 3 families that's dropped off presents to my. So I'm gonna come tomorrow. I'll bring them here and I'll fill out the paperwork for them. I said, just give me your first last name, give me their first last name, give me the address. So
I think it's gonna be so fun.
It's gonna be good.
Those kids are gonna flip.
It's gonna be good.
We have a lot of gifts.
Yeah, those kids are
Yeah.
going to flip.
It's gonna be good.
I can't wait to see it. Thanks again to our police
Yeah,
department.
for sure.
Every time you give them an idea, they're always like, okay, I don't know who's in the suit, but whoever's going to be in the suit,
Santa.
thank you to them. Santa, exactly. But yeah, I can't wait to see it, and we'll record it and share it with residents, and hopefully it just gets bigger and bigger every
For
year.
sure. No, it was wonderful. And the Santa train was amazing.
No,
I was even saying for the Santa train, I said, look, when I said this, y'all, you know, the manager, she cut her eye at me sideways, Councilperson Lightfoot Ward, when I said this. But the manager, I told the manager, I said, man, I said, you know what would be good? I said, it was such a good turnout. It was such a good event. I said, man, we should like talk to Brightline or something and see if next year we can get on the train and have like little elves dressed up, have Chief dressed up as Santa. Like we can get on the train. Like how much is it to rent out a Brightline? Like what can we do? At least one car. You know what I mean? Like
they
what
need
can
to
we
go
do?
ahead and donate that.
That would
But I
be-
think that's a great.
That would be great. I'll find a sponsor, you guys. I'll find a sponsor. All right, appreciate that. For the mayor's report, you guys see stuff there. As always, anybody have any questions or comments? Everybody has my number. You guys can text me, call me any time of the day or night, and you guys can email me at any time. Village Attorney reports, Joe Geller.
Okay, very briefly, but a couple more than usual. First of all, I'm happy to report to the council that we received word that the FOP has approved and ratified our proposed contract with them. So I'd like to thank our bargaining team, our CFO, Harry Taubenfeld, our village manager, and myself. We're the bargaining team. Now that the unit has done it, we're going to write it up. I don't think we need to have an executive session on it, but once we get it written and circulated to you, which will be shortly, what we'd like to do is, for any council member that has any question whatsoever, we can arrange a private briefing, whether it's by phone or by Zoom or whatever, with myself, the manager, and if necessary, we can put the CFO on with us if you have any questions. And we'll do that so we can bring that for ratification by the village at our next meeting. And we just got the word that the unit ratified it today. So that's good news. Secondly, as you're aware, we have we put off the Charter Review Commission because we were tied up with budget, and that takes priority, but budget's done. So we're going to try and get a meeting scheduled, hopefully in the month of January, so we can continue with that process. And we had a good start, but we need to just follow it up and get it. And last, on Saturday, I went out to an event. The Organization of Chinese Americans, OCA, and Florida Justice for Asian Americans sponsored an event down at the Torch of Friendship to push back on another, the legislature passes a lot of things that are dumb. But this wasn't dumb. This was mean and mean-spirited and racist, that said that, Chinese people couldn't own property in the state of Florida, and that applies to some others. But there's an awful lot of Chinese people. And to say, this is reminiscent of the old Asian American Exclusion Acts 100 years ago that we moved past. Unfortunately, the weather did not cooperate. The headliner at the event was former presidential candidate Andrew Yang, who ran for president last time. I was standing right next to him. But it didn't just rain, it poured. And I'm standing there getting absolutely poured on as the wind is twisting my umbrella into a pretzel. And I thought, who else would be crazy enough to come out here in this pouring rain to speak on this important issue and let people know that we care about them and we don't tolerate racism? And I look up, and standing next to me, getting absolutely drenched, is our mayor. Standing there in the pouring rain, kind of surprised me, but he, you have his report. I know you can feel like or think or say that he's everywhere, but let me tell you, I've been going to different protest rallies for a whole lot of years, but I can't remember being surprised. I can't remember ever being in a worse rainstorm while I stood there And I sure can't remember being as surprised as I was to look up and have standing next to me, helping hold the umbrella, our Mayor Nickerson. So kudos to you, Mayor, for showing up and standing up and representing and communicating to people, but especially for doing it in the worst weather I've ever been to one in. So congratulations to the mayor.
Appreciate that, Attorney Geller. Thank you, guys.
That concludes.
Appreciate that, and thank you for being there yourself
Mayor
also.
Nickerson, may I add something to that, since you're bringing up some kudos and things? This month, our mayor, I'm on the cover with him, but our mayor was interviewed for the local publication, the Egret. That's the Tri-Village publication that talks about everything that's happening in our community. And he was interviewed and gave a wonderful, wonderful, interview about the village of El Portal and the things we're doing. So kudos to you, Mayor Nickerson, and to Village of El Portal for that recognition, because as I recall, I don't think we've ever been on the cover and had that kind of, recognition from the tri-villages. So thank you, Mayor Nickerson.
Thank you very much, Manager Lou. Appreciate it. It was super important, the rally that we went to. Actually was coming from, because North Miami Beach started their commission meeting tonight at 5 o'clock p.m. So started a little bit earlier than usual. I was coming from there to here, because earlier today at North Miami Beach, they recognized myself and another Asian American young woman for the work that we do. They did like just like a little recognition for us over there, and everything. And they also did a proclamation because the Chinese Exclusion Act was around this time back in 100 years ago. So we were there speaking about that earlier today. And then, of course, Miss Tang. Of course, it was Winnie Tang. And so, and her and I were over there today. North Miami Beach and Surfside and Miami Beach, I believe. I have to look at if you guys know, and I'm just bringing this up right now just because this reminded me of the rally reminded me of North Miami Beach with the recognition today of the Chinese Exclusion Act and all that. And then North Miami Beach saying that reminded me of this. So this is not something I'm just, trying to be braggadocious about. But you guys, if for those of you who came to the informational exposition, the Distar Village Informational Exposition, I said in my my speech when I was talking that for the Indigenous Peoples Day this year, Mayor Levine Cava did a proclamation for me for being the first Native American mayor in Miami-Dade County history. And so from that, now North Miami Beach is going to be doing a proclamation for me on January 16th. Surfside is doing a proclamation for me. Miami Beach and I believe Hialeah are going to be all doing proclamations for me between January and February for being the first Native American mayor in Miami-Dade County history. So appreciate that also. So that'll be coming up. And the rally that we speak, in my mayor's report, I try to keep it to 20 items. So my rally for what we were at, Attorney Geller, will be in my next mayor's report. So I'll have that in my next mayor's report. But I appreciate that. Any last questions for the attorney? Very good. All right, you guys, moving on good and welfare right now. Anybody can come up and say anything at all about anything that's on your mind, you guys. Doesn't have to be just what's on the agenda. 3 minutes, name and address for the record, and the floor is yours.
I have one thing to add. Anders Urbano,
Go ahead.
460 Northeast 89th Street. For everyone's benefit to know, Miami-Dade County public transportation is free for another week here till the end of the year. It's been going on a couple months. They overhauled the full transit map, and then basically the disruption that caused to essentially the daily riders. They said, you know what, it's an opportunity, let the riders get used to the new routes. In addition, let people who have not experienced Miami-Dade County public transit, it's a no excuses opportunity to see if any of it works for you. So buses, the trains, so that's Metro Rail and Tri-Rail, these are all free until the end of the year. So I had severe car troubles. What Councilperson Martin was talking about earlier reminded me that family, we got 4 kids, we both work, we make enough money that puts us out of contention for a great many number of things, and in this county, it's incredibly difficult to make it up. So So basically lost 2 cars a couple months ago, more or less, around the same time. And so I have found that a couple days a week I can actually get my job done on South Beach and then down in Brickell using public transportation. So anyway, it's fantastic, and people should jump on a bus and check it out.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that, Councilperson Urban. Actually, I was on the bus with Councilperson Urban and his son once. Yeah, we were there. And so, because this is the thing. So, as you guys know, I go to so many events. And so sometimes traffic is so terrible. If you take like a Metro Rail or something like that, you can get from like Hialeah to downtown in like 15 minutes. And in traffic, it'll take you like an hour to get from like Hialeah to downtown. It's absolutely crazy the time you save. And since I'm always going to all these type of events and things like that, while don't have to drive and watch the road, I can answer emails, so I'm more efficient. Like I can answer things right away with Clerk Jacoby, Manager Lou. Like I'm right. It's like, hey, Mayor. Oh, I'm right on top of that. What do y'all need? Like, oh, I'll answer that right now. Oh, so I can answer residents. I have resident meetings all day long. I can do that right away because I don't have to pay attention to the road. So, yes, I was on there with Councilperson Urban and his son. His son was, how old is your son? 4, yeah. So his son was like on top of the world. He was like, I'm a big guy. I can ride the bus. I was like, you are a big man riding the bus. Look at you. He was like on top of the world. He was so happy. So appreciate that. Any last questions or comments about good and welfare from anybody? Hearing none.
I do have one. Just one quick one. Village of El Portal is still partnered with Miami Diaper Bank. If you know of anyone who is cleaning out their garages, or if they have small babies that are growing, trust me, they have diapers. If they have diapers, urge them to come and just place them in the box right back there, the pink one. Those diapers will get donated to needy families.
Do they have to be full boxes? Do they have to be full boxes of diapers?
They have to be full boxes.
Okay.
I believe so. Yes.
Okay.
They have to be unopened diapers.
I'm sure people will have questions.
Like if someone has a Lucy, unfortunately, like we can't use those. But a full unopened box, which has happened to me before. Baby showers, your baby's allergic to a certain brand, they have extras. People have extra diapers. Please tell them to come and drop them off at Village Hall so that they can go to a needy family this holiday season. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Also, you guys, the flag retirement boxes back there that we put back there also. So if you guys, need to retire flagging, it's back there. Yes, say your name and address for the record. Hi, good to see you.
Jacomina de Poel, 177 Northwest 90th Street. I want to talk about peacocks. I had an Airbnb guest that booked the cottage especially because she read in my description that the village has peacocks. And then she asked me, can I walk there? I'm like, you could technically, but from Horace Mann it's quite a walk. But I told her where they are, and I learned something new, that they sleep in the trees, which I didn't know. I asked some other residents about that, and she specially came here to Florida, out of state, and booked in El Portal because of the peacocks, and photographed them and studied them, and so I think that is a wonderful thing. And these are the kind of people that rent something to look around where they're going to move. So I think it's a good thing.
No, absolutely. It's wonderful. I appreciate that. We really like to hear great things like that. I was actually with an individual from Tallahassee this past Sunday, and I was walking him around, and I was like, you got to walk El Portal. Like, once you walk El Portal, you're going to be, he was like, oh my God. And I was like, yeah. He was like, this is amazing. I was like, yeah. I was like, you don't understand how amazing El Portal is. Any last questions or comments or anything before we adjourn? We're good. Hearing, seeing none. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Moved by Councilperson Martin. Do I have a second? Second by Vice Mayor Perrella. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say nay. Hearing none. The regular council meeting for Tuesday, December 19th, 2023 is adjourned at 9:02 p.m. Happy holidays, you guys. Take care.